I'm keeping this group together, alive. I've been doing that all along, no matter what. I didn't ask for this.
The Walking Dead is obviously fucking massive. Even as someone who didn't start to watch it until this year's summer holiday, I'd heard the reaction when Andrew Lincoln decided to leave, and I heard about all the spin-offs, or the spin-off I guess, and the idea of making a movie and stuff like that. And then I eventually played the game, the first season. I didn't finish the second season because story-wise the games are good, but as games that actually just trash, that actually kind of dog. I had a good time playing the game because of the story, but the fact that the choices don't matter really are incredibly irritating, and that's what I'm talking about. That's why I don't enjoy playing them. And after all of that realization that the choices are bullshit, after having a few friends that had gotten into it, I decided to give it a go. So I finished season 1 at the start of September. Then I went away for 3 days, and then I came back and basically finished season 2 in those next couple days as well. This shit was so good. By the way, please make sure to like and subscribe if you're enjoying this video and if you want to see more. And if you like me, go over to my other channel where me and my friends play lots of games and just mess about. Season 1 and 2 was so good, and I've held off watching too much more because I don't want to binge, because then I get fed up of seeing the same thing. And that's not me saying like it's gonna be a repetitive show. It's just generally that's what happens to me when I binge. I get fed up. I wanted to hold off. I've seen a bit of season 3. I've seen like the first 3 episodes, but I wanted to give kind of my first opinions on season 1 and 2. I just wanted to talk about my experience so far with the show, because I did not expect to be as invested as I am, which is the key thing with this show. I think the investment. I'm incredibly invested in this damn series. When Dale died, I almost cried seeing Rick struggle to lead the group, but also feeling as if he must. He feels like it's his responsibility and it's in his character to do that, but seeing his determination to do right is his downfall. It breaks my heart. Shane turning from what I thought was the lead protagonist, or alongside Rick obviously, to, well, Shane was heartbreaking as well. Which, by the way, I love Shane. And not, okay, that could be taken in many different ways. I love Shane's writing. I think he is an incredibly well written antagonist, and I mean, you always look for that in any character, bad or not, but he is just the absolute opposite to just being a baddie. I know he's kind of set up like as, I don't know, something's off since he's having sex with Laurie, even though Rick is alive, but I mean, because we see when Rick wakes up, I mean, we establish in our own heads that, yeah, okay, Shane couldn't have known that he was gonna wake up when the shit went to hell. So, like, yeah, but also, I get it. Laurie would have been grieving, and we're shown him as a good guy, and as the show goes on, it just gets worse. And we see he's straight up delusional over Laurie, and he is just hungry for power, without really realizing it. So when Rick comes in at the start of season 1, and there are hints, and they slowly become more than hints, the moment where he just pointed the gun, which Dale would bring back in season 2 and say that to Shane, like, but when that happened, I was like, okay, something's wrong. Then we got to the last episode, and I was like, okay, yeah, this is not a good bloke. His emotions drive him more than anything, and as the show goes on, he gets more unhinged every episode. We see why, which is the key thing in any character. You have to see why they're changing. Why? I mean, you can't just like snap your fingers, I can't click, and just be like, oh yeah, this is character development, and they've just changed from good to bad without reason, because that doesn't make any sense. Here we see that it's kind of Shane's fundamental bad personality coming out, I guess, in my opinion. Like, he is a bad guy in the depth of his soul, and I think that is what comes out as he becomes more unhinged and stuff, and I don't think he wants to be that bad guy, but he is, and I guess there are people like that are just fundamentally bad. Whether he actually cares for Laurie and Carl are up for debate, but maybe he's just fucking a horny guy. But also I think a big part of it is them looking up to him, because it is made very apparent, and I don't think many can deny it, that he likes to be in control of every situation. He does not like to not be in there in the leadership role. It was like a double whammy when Rick came in. But Shane is complex, and I love that he's not an outright villain, at least straight away. It was pretty apparent that just a fucked up individual. I think it's hard to say he is outright bad, because he's actually trying to protect the group, and he did go completely out of his way and do so much to save Carl and Laurie. I could probably spend hours talking about Big Prick Shane, but it was very emotional yet very satisfying seeing Rick and Shane's last encounter in season 2. But at the end of the day, I would very much enjoy the Punisher to kick his ass. He is very complex, and I'm sorry I've gone on about Shane for so long, but he's potentially my favourite written character in these first 2 seasons. Rick is pretty close, because I find it really interesting how his goodness lets him down. I love fucking most of the characters, to be totally honest with you. Obviously there are other characters, but I do not simply have the time to go through all of them in that way. But as I said, I love how Rick's determinedness to do right is his absolute downfall. Laurie is just broken from the moment that this outbreak happened and Shane was hospitalized, and it just gets worse through Shane. And Carl, baby boy Carl. I get he has bad influence from Shane, as well as growing up in the worst possible time, but in season 2 they really didn't try and make him likable, did they? I'm not sure where his story is going. It felt to me like they were trying to set him up to eventually grow up into a bit of an antagonist, which I'm down for by all means. In the second season especially, he's just incredibly unlikable, and I think it is in part due to the acting, which I never like to shit on kid actors because they're children, and he was just annoying more than anything in season 2. But I like the concepts of where it seems like they're setting up for, and I'm very excited to see what happens. I think as Carl grows older throughout the series, him and Rick are going to clash a lot, and it's going to get heavier between them, and I can't wait. But yeah, like I said, I never like to shit on child actors too much, but I think the performances are part of the reason why, unfortunately. Also, many people have already said, but the effects on this show, like the makeup, the actual creation of the zombies, that's just top notch. You can't really get any better at that. However, the CGI, even though there isn't exactly much of it, when it comes along, it is very noticeable. In the first season, when a couple of zombies were getting shot in the head, and obviously you had the blood splatters, it did just make me laugh, because it was so kind of out of nowhere, I guess, the CGI blood splats. But yeah, I'm not sure why they chose to do that budget or time, I don't know. But the show also executes its suspenseful moments really, really well, which I love. This show has a lot of drama, and drama is probably the main driving force of the show, but also it's called The Walking Dead, so it's got a healthy amount of horror in as well. And I wouldn't necessarily say it's a straight up horror, but honestly I think Shane brought a whole new wave from episode 6 of season 1 throughout season 2 of horror. And obviously when you have close encounters with the walkers, you have setup for horror, and it felt like the directors and writers and everyone knew that and capitalized on it, because there are some really creepy scenes and quite frightening scenes and stuff, especially involving walkers. And like I said, even with Shane, and my investment basically accompanies that. Like I said, that last episode, to an extent I care about Shane. I like Laurie considerably more at this point, so I see this happen. I see Shane try and do what he did, and I'm kind of freaking out more than anything, because I don't want Laurie to get hurt. And apparently not many people like Laurie, and from the end of season 2, was that when it happened? From the end of season 2, how she reacted to Rick explaining what happened is an outrage. That's ridiculous. It seems like she is apologetic at the start of season 3, but I don't know, I'm only like 3 episodes in. That really annoyed me, because that felt really out of character for her. This is what I mean though. I'm invested, and so investment is key in horror especially, I think, and this is also why I say about characters being the main, if not one of the main things you have to think about, because investment will help any story no matter what it is. And the great thing about The Walking Dead is that it's not got characters in a story for me. I think the story is the character's journey. The story follows them. Around every corner, I'm scared of what's going to happen to these characters, and I don't really know who's going to die. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know when anything's going to happen. Like, there are 2 characters I know who's leave or something, because I saw over the years. Like, I don't know when, I don't know how, and all of that stuff. So I'm still incredibly on edge, which is another great thing, whether it's emotionally or like with the suspense or something. It constantly keeps me on edge. It also progresses the story in interesting and believable ways. This show is trying to be dark and realistic and gritty, and I think it successfully has done that so far. Like Shaun of the Dead and Zombieland are comedy. A serious zombie related film is more difficult, I think, to take to interesting places, but that's why I think this show has done the good thing in having the characters be the story, basically. So far The Walking Dead is great, and I'm absolutely in love. There are very few moments that I find fault with, like I say, the Laurie's reaction at the end of season 2 and a bit of Carl being annoying, but generally it's great, and I hope it continues it. But yeah, that's it. Let me know what you think of season 1 and 2 of The Walking Dead. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.